Hi everyone, welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Jordan, I'm your host tonight, and I hope you're all as excited as I am to watch the smallest species of penguin making their way from the ocean across this beach that we've got just in front of us here at the Penguin Parade, back to their burrows on land here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. I know a few of you have been tuning in night after night watching these live streams, so thank you so much for your love and support. Welcome back. And if this is your first time watching the Penguin Parade live TV tonight, big warm welcome. And I will say, just like the penguins like to say, huck, huck, huck. Welcome all of you waddle watchers waddling through the comments tonight. So we have the smallest species of penguin here on Phillip Island making their way home, and we're going to be watching their dangerous dash as they make their way back tonight. So I hope you're all excited. Tonight I am joined by Megan, who is my assistant tonight. Megan, come in and say hello and tell us what you're going to be doing this evening.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be monitoring the comments on YouTube. So put through all your questions that you have for Jordan, and I'll pass some of those through to her to answer tonight.
Beautiful. Thanks, Megan. So she's going to be looking through the YouTube comments tonight, everyone. So at any point, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, post your questions in the comments. We will do our best to get back to you. On Facebook, we will actually be having a team of rangers going through and giving you personalised answers within the next 24 hours or so. Unfortunately, we don't have that capability on YouTube after the stream has ended, so that's why we're going to be monitoring the YouTube comments tonight. Now, because we are getting so many comments coming through every single night, please don't be offended if we don't get around to your questions this evening. We're getting so many wonderful ones coming in. This stream's going to run for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on when the penguins decide to make their dangerous dash home. But we'll be answering about 3, 4, or maybe 5 questions this evening. If we don't get around to answering your question tonight, we are running this live stream for the foreseeable future. So keep tuning in, keep posting those questions, and hopefully we'll be able to get your very awesome questions answered on the air. But again, rest assured, we will be answering your questions on Facebook within the next 24 hours or so with a very clever penguin ranger who will be eager to get those answers to you. Now, I've just got a couple of shout outs before we jump into any kind of penguin information tonight. So this evening, we have the Governor-General of Victoria watching our live Penguin TV tonight, the Honourable Linda Dessau and her husband Anthony Howard watching. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you're looking forward to seeing these little penguins as they make their way home to Phillip Island, and keep tuning in night after night if you fall in love with these little penguins, which I am sure you will. And I've got another shout out I would like to mention to Abby, aged 5, and to Millie, aged 3, who I actually met this afternoon. They are fans of Live Penguin TV, and they recognised me over in Wonthaggi today and had 1,000,001 questions about little penguins. So thank you so much for tuning in every night. Thank you so much for your passion and your enthusiasm. I hope you'll enjoy the stream tonight. And they even told me, Abby and Millie told me that they're going to be coming to work with myself, Megan, and all of the other penguin rangers that we have here when they can start working. So we're looking forward to having you on the team, girls. Enjoy the rest of your night. Okay, so you might have also tuned in last night, and we had a bit of a special evening yesterday with Dr. Andre Sharadia coming in to do a little bit of a Q&A with me with some of your really tricky research questions, and we learnt quite a few bits and pieces from Dr. Andre last night. Things like how many bones do penguins have? Do you remember that number, Megan?
I believe they have 141 bones. Less bones than a chicken, Jordan.
141 bones, less bones than a chicken. And if you watched last night, do you remember why that is? I'm not going to give you time to answer. It's because a lot of penguins' bones are fused. Very good. And Megan, how many kilograms of fish do parents take back home to their little chicks to help them grow up nice and strong?
Ooh, I believe that one was about 14 kilograms of fish.
14 kilograms of fish. That is a lot of fish for a little penguin that only weighs about 1 kilo. So we might drop a few more of those fun facts that we learnt about penguins last night, because even I learnt a few things last night, which was really, really cool. So, alrighty, I just want to talk a little bit about what's happening on the screen at the moment. So if you have tuned in previously, you'll notice that there are actually some people in our grandstands now, which is so exciting, because the Penguin Parade here on Phillip Island is officially open to regional Victoria. So we can have 150 people coming to the Penguin Parade and watching these little guys as they make their way home. So we've got about 50 people on each of those stands, and beneath us there's about another 50 people watching at Penguins Plus. So we are slowly opening up to regional Victoria, hopefully very, very soon to the rest of Melbourne, the rest of Australia, and then the rest of the world. We are so keen and eager to have you back.
And Jordan, we just heard that we have birds at the water's edge.
So Megan has just told me, she's got a little radio in her ear, guys, and she has told me that some penguins have already started washing up on the shore. So I'm slowly going to pan around. Do we hear where exactly that was, Megan? The penguin counter might not have told her, so we might just have to do a little bit of looking, which is totally fine. All right, so we're looking for some little white bellies, and oh my goodness, have a look at this seaweed. That definitely, oh my God, it's huge. That definitely wasn't there last night. So I'm just going to zoom in over here. We can see our security guard. Oh, I think I've spotted them. Hey guys. They're very, very little, and they're really healthy. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. Alrighty, so this looks like it might be the first group that has started to make their way across the beach. Now, for these little penguins, the species of penguin that we have here on Phillip Island is the little penguin, and they are the smallest of the 18 species of penguin in the world. Crossing the beach at the end of the night is the scariest time of day for these little penguins, because they're so little and they're worried about any predatory birds which might be flying around ready to swoop down on them. But they know that if they cross the beach when it's nice and dark, when the sun sets, predatory birds such as white-bellied sea eagles, Pacific gulls, kites, swamp harriers, they've returned to their nests for the night, which means these little penguins, which have really, really good night vision, look at them all, can cross the beach without getting swooped down on. Now, these beautiful little penguins are the only penguins in the world that have blue feathers, which help them camouflage out in the water. So they're actually really safe when they're out in the ocean, because anything flying above can't see them, as their blue feathers help them camouflage or blend in with the ocean. Now, it looks like we've got quite a bit of seaweed at the moment, which makes it a little bit difficult for us to spot penguins tonight. And, you know, it might make us work a little bit harder to watch and to count the penguins tonight. But the penguins like crossing over these rocks and over this seaweed because it's nice and dark. It offers them a little bit of shelter and camouflage, because they know that their dark feathers kind of blend in with the rocks and the seaweed, rather than going across the open sandy beach. So it's going to be a little bit trickier watching them cross the beach tonight. We've got a nice small group. In the comments, let us know how many penguins you think are in this group tonight, but it's a fairly decent one tonight because we've got a relatively low tide. So you might have been watching a few nights. You might have been watching a few nights ago, and the tide was really, really high, which meant the penguins could literally just surf the waves directly into the sand dunes, and they didn't have this open beach to cross. But they've got a little bit more of a journey tonight. So, guys, here on Phillip Island, we are on Bunurong land, and the Bunurong people are the traditional custodians of the land here on Phillip Island, and they've been coming over to Phillip Island, that they call Malau, for many thousands of years, living peacefully with the plants, the animals, the penguins, and that's part of the reason why we have such a healthy colony of these little penguins here on Phillip Island. The largest colony of little penguins in the world at about 32,000. So I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, the elders of the Bunurong people, for looking after and caring for this country over so many thousands of years, which is why we get these beautiful penguins to watch come home every single night. And thank you to all of you who have been tuning in night after night and acknowledging the First Nations people of the land where you've been joining us tonight. We really appreciate all the outpouring of support and respect for them. Okie doke. It looks like these penguins are nearly home. So they've only got a few more meters to go until they've made their dangerous dash across the beach. Let us know in the comments how many penguins you think crossed the beach in this little group. Now, a burning question on all of your minds, I bet, is how many penguins crossed the beach last night? So if this is your first time watching live penguin TV, everyone, we have been counting these penguins nearly every single night since 1968. So it's part of an ongoing research study that we do to monitor the population here at the Penguin Parade, and we count our penguins for 50 minutes every single night. And I believe Megan has the number of penguins that crossed the beach in 50 minutes last night. What was it, Megs?
So last night we had 2,817 penguins.
2,817 penguins. That is a lot of penguins. And if you were tuning in last night, you probably would have been sending all your love to Ranger Beck, who is counting the penguins tonight. This evening we have Ranger Sally counting them. So hopefully we get lots of penguins like we did last night. I'm just going to zoom out a touch. And with all of this rocks and seaweed, it's going to be a very, very tricky thing to be able to count penguins tonight. So send Sally your love and send us your predictions as to how many penguins you think will be crossing the beach. Sometimes the rangers here at Phillip Island Nature Parks' Penguin Parade like to play Penguin Lotto and try to work out exactly how many, or try to predict how many penguins make their way across the beach every night. And there is a chocolate bar in it for the winner, for the person who guesses the closest number. So let us know in the comments how many penguins you think will be crossing the beach tonight. We'd love to hear it, and we'll see who's the closest tomorrow. Okay, so it looks like a few of these penguins have decided to hang around. What are you doing over here? Are you trying to get out of the pool? Sorry, I just want to focus on this one who looks like he's in the pool at the moment, struggling to get up. You're going to try a different spot. Okay, you're going to jump on the diving board. So just over here, we've got Cannonball. You just wanted to get around to the other side. Okay, that's fine. So these penguins are very, very lucky tonight because we still have this big puddle around, which means that the penguins get to swim part of the way home rather than waddling. We've had lots of rain recently, so these penguins, we're about to see them waddle. Oh, you've already seen them waddling. See how tricky it is for them to, I'm going to just turn around the corner because it looks like we've got some penguins coming up the Penguin Highway over here. Here we go. Up they come. Look at them waddle. All right, this is our Penguin Highway, and this is the main route that the penguins take to get home, because just like us, penguins have their own address. They've got their special route that they take to go back home, and they will take that every single night. So we'll be able to pan onto our highway camera a little bit later on. It looks like we have a cheeky little shelgrue in that top right hand corner as well. There's everything going on tonight, and I think I've just spotted a few more penguins crossing the beach. Okay, yep, so they're just underneath this vegetation over here. Get your counting hats on, because we do like to count these penguins as they make their way home. Look at them hopping over the rocks. They're doing a great job, if you ask me. Okay. So I did mention that we are counting the penguins every night here at the Penguin Parade, which is really, really cool. And the reason we do that is because Phillip Island Nature Parks is the organisation that runs the Penguin Parade. It manages the penguin colony here on Phillip Island. And yeah, it's part of some of the roles and responsibilities of the rangers who work for Phillip Island Nature Parks to do. And we are a non-for-profit conservation organisation. So anyone who is coming in to buy tickets to the Penguin Parade, coming to the Koala Conservation Reserve or Churchill Island Heritage Farm, the profits from those tickets are going towards our ongoing conservation education and research of penguins, of other threatened species that we have here on Phillip Island, and a range of other projects. So thank you so much if you've joined us in the past. If you have come to any of our attractions, bought maybe some souvenirs or bought a ticket at Phillip Island Nature Parks, we really appreciate the love love and support. And now that we can officially welcome back regional Victoria, we can start getting a little bit more money in helping to protect these penguins. But one thing which I wanted to acknowledge as well is that we also have something called the Penguin Foundation. And the Penguin Foundation has been helping out a lot of our conservation, education and research projects while we've had our doors closed to the public. So if you've adopted a penguin, if you've become a penguin pal and got one of these cute little plush toys in the mail, or if you've made a donation to the Penguin Foundation, that has gone towards our ongoing protection of these penguins. So thank you so much if you've donated, or if you're thinking of donating in the not too distant future. We really, really appreciate it. And if you would like to donate, the link is just in the description below. Alrighty, let's zoom in on these. Actually, you know what? It looks like we've got a nice big group coming along the Penguin Highway off to the top right. So let's pan to them and look at them as they waddle on home. It's a little bit easier to count them on this camera, but this is only one of the many penguin highways that we have here at the Penguin Parade. So some of them will actually be going kind of up the hill and they'll be splitting off. Some of them might have some beautiful beachside residents so they don't have to go too far inland. Others might have to walk nearly 2 kilometres home. Now, what are these two doing just over here? Stopping for a bit of a rest? It might be a little bit hard. Well, we've seen them crossing the rocks and jumping all over them tonight. So I don't blame penguins wanting to have a little bit of a stop and a rest. Although normally on this Penguin Highway, the penguins are usually just, it's on the freeway. They are going top speed, but these two have decided to have a little break. I might jump back to our other camera and we can keep an eye on these two as we go. And I might ask Megan if we've got any questions coming through. So remember, at any point throughout the night, guys, if you've got questions, put them on Facebook, put them on YouTube in the comments. We are monitoring YouTube tonight and we are having some penguin rangers going through within 24 hours and giving you a personalised answer, commenting on your questions. So let's go and have a question from the audience, Megan.
So we've had lots of great questions, Jordan. You were just saying that some penguins can walk up to 2 kilometres to get back to their burrows. And Oscar would like to know, why do some penguins choose to make their burrows so far away from the beach?
Oscar, really interesting question. Thank you so much for that one. So, you know what? How beautiful would it be to have a beautiful beachside residence? You get to have a beautiful view of the beach. You don't have to waddle too far home. Nice and easy life, wouldn't you think? So little chicks, when penguin babies are really little, when they're little chicks, they become really familiar with the area and where their parents have raised them. So, looks like we've got another group coming. Let's see if we can watch them as they waddle and join this group on the rocks over here. So they become really, really familiar with the kind of area where their parents raised them, whether it's really close to the shore, whether it's really far inland. And they kind of get to memorize the area and they know that that is kind of the spot that they want to call themselves home, just purely because they're familiar with it. So normally we find when the juvenile penguins are ready to have some little chickie babes of their own, they will return to within a very similar area where their parents raised them. And they're usually ready to have babies of their own after about 2 to 3 years. So they've got a really, really good memory. And if their parents raise them in a burrow really, really far from the sea, that is the area that they will return to. If their parents raise them close to the ocean, that is where they will go as well. Now, again, you might think that being inland might not be as great for the penguins, but we've actually found that it's actually safer for penguins to be a little bit further inland because there's not quite as much wind and rain, which is kind of destroying their burrows and making them kind of maintain them in a higher rate compared to the penguins who have natural burrows kind of right at the edge of the water. And also, you might have heard me mention that we've got some scary predatory birds which would love to snack on a penguin, and quite often they are kind of soaring around the coast. So if you live in a burrow kind of close to the water, if you poke your head out, you might be more likely to come into contact with a big scary bird of prey. So even though it might be a long way for a little penguin to make their way 2 kilometres home, they actually kind of prefer it. Me, I would definitely prefer the beachside residence. Of course, I know those predatory birds aren't going to try and get me, but it's really, really important for a penguin to know the area that it lives in, to make sure it knows that it's safe, know all the different tracks and paths around it, and that's where a penguin will decide to make their way home. So thanks for that one, Oscar. I know I did go off a little bit track, but I hope that answered your question, and thanks, Megan, for picking that one out as well. I might now just pan over to the beach and see if we can see any more penguins crossing the rocks. It's not really a beach at the moment, is it? It's more kind of like a set of rocks. Okay, I can see a few white bellies. Sorry if I'm making anyone seasick. Okay, we can see quite, oh my gosh, look, you can see them coming over this massive wall of seaweed over here. Now, because we have such a low tide, it might be a little bit blurry. Please bear with me. It looks like there's something interesting happening in the top right-hand corner. I'll come to that in just a second. Look at them all pouring over. Can you see their little white bellies? Gosh, that wall of seaweed must be a metre or more high.
Jordan, Sally has just let us know that tonight is the hardest night she has ever counted with all these rocks and all this seaweed. So if you're counting from home, you're doing a fantastic job.
Did you hear that, everyone? Even our penguin counter, Sally, has said that she's having a really, really tricky night counting penguins crossing the beach. Look at that seaweed that they have to come across. Look at all these rocks which the penguins blend in with really, really well. My gosh, Sally has a really, really tough job tonight. So send your love to Sally in the comments, because I reckon we're going to have well and truly over 1,000 penguins making their way home tonight. Let's zoom in on these guys as they make their way across the rocks. That's really interesting. I've never seen that big wall of seaweed before, so there's a first for you and me. How exciting. And if you have kind of watched this live stream in the past, you know that the way the penguins are kind of crossing the beach tonight, it's a little bit different. They're not kind of huddled together in a group as much, because there's so much kind of dark surface with the seaweed and with the rocks. They look like they're a little bit more relaxed crossing. They don't have to be huddled together because there's safety in numbers. They're just kind of scrambling over any which way, trying to make their way across the beach. So these poor little penguins, their hearts are going to be racing as they make their way across the beach, but they will eventually make their way home, whether they've got a nice, beautiful seaside residence or they have to climb the hill to get home. So send your love and your luck to all these penguins that are making their way back tonight. Well, there's penguins everywhere. I don't know where to focus. Alrighty, looks like the leaders in this group are starting to make their way over to the rocks. Good work, little dudes. You're doing so well. Awesome. Let's keep on scrolling. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a domino effect of the penguins that have decided to stay on the rocks over here, or if they're all going to stop and have a well-earned rest, which I would not blame the penguins for. Now, there's a few more penguins hanging out on the Penguin Highway by the looks of it. Again, it's not looking like more of a thoroughfare tonight. They are taking their sweet time. So while crossing the beach is really, really scary for these penguins, let's have a little bit of a focus on these ones in the vegetation and see what they're getting up to. I wonder if there might be a burrow nearby. Oscar, what do we think? Are you friends? Are you neighbours? Are you partners? Watch, wait and see. Alrighty, look, this one's looking around. I wonder if it's looking to see if there's any rival males around. I wonder if this penguin might have some chicks or some eggs at home. Oh, it looks like the ones on the camera have just started to make their way now. What are you looking for? It's kind of looking intently, and that one's definitely following it. Let's see their little interaction over here. Every night is a little bit different at the penguin parade. You never quite know what you're going to see. And I worry that with these penguins, they're going to disappear into the vegetation, so we might not be able to follow them as we would like. This one looks like it's having a bit of a sit down, having a well-earned rest maybe after you've been out in the ocean all day and done that big, scary, dangerous dash across the beach. Alrighty, might leave these ones alone because I thought we might see something a little bit interesting. We might see that a little bit later, so stay tuned, everyone. Waddle, waddle, waddle. There they go in the top right-hand camera. All right, let's watch them doing some penguin yoga on the rocks over here. You can see that they're preening their feathers, so they're making sure their feathers are in alignment, because when penguins are out at sea, just like us, if we go surfing and we go for a bit of a swim out in the water, your hair might get a little bit ruffled. So when they come on land, you can see them kind of running their beak through their feathers, making sure their feathers are nice and interlocking and flat, which makes it nice and comfortable for the penguins and helps keep them warm and waterproof as well. Also makes them look beautiful for any breeding partners they might have at home as well. So they're just stopping, doing some penguin yoga and making themselves beautiful before they make their way home tonight. Good work, penguins. I think you're already looking gorgeous, but they are definitely putting a lot of effort into their appearance tonight. Looks like we're going to see a few of them. Oh, look at these guys standing on the little diving board over here. Let's see what's going to happen. We might see some synchronized diving or some synchronized swimming tonight. Let's have a bit of a look and see. You're going to plop off at the back. Boop. That wasn't very graceful. That's okay. We don't really get to see the penguins dive. Some of them kind of slide in. Some of them do a bit of a Oh my God, did you see that one poo? Okay, I'm now going to tell you a story about poo. So penguins, if you were watching last night, you would have heard Andre say that penguins are projectile pooers. So you can see that little kind of white streak on the grass over there. That is some penguin poo, and you have just witnessed a Guinness World Record, everyone, because these penguins poo at the highest velocity of any animal in the world. So they are projectile pooers, and Megan and I have quite a lot of experience with penguin poo, especially at getting on us. And it's very smelly, it's very fishy, and it stinks. So if you were watching us last night, you would have heard me tell the story about Megan getting pooed on yesterday. It not only got on her, but it actually got inside her vest. So a penguin a little bit later on got me as well. So we had to go home and have a little bit of a shower before we came back to do this live stream tonight. And the reason penguin poo is so exciting is because, well, I mean, it's a pretty cool fact about penguin poo, isn't it? They poo really, really quickly. But we can actually tell a lot about what penguins eat by looking at their food. We can see what they've been eating in the last 24 hours or so. And you've probably seen a few penguins pooing in this live stream if you've been watching night after night. But believe it or not, it can actually be quite difficult to get that perfect poo sample, because we don't want to have any dirt, any vegetation, any bugs or anything in the sample, because what we do with the poo, put it into tiny little vials, and then it goes to a special scientific place and it amplifies how much DNA is actually in the poo, and that's how we can work out exactly what they've been eating. So yeah, that's why it's really hard to get a beautiful clean sample out in nature. So when we see a nice beautiful poo, Megan and I, you'll see, get really, really excited. So it's for good reason, but who doesn't love a good poo fact as well? Might have time for another question, Megan.
Of course, Jordan. So we've just seen the penguins swimming through the pool there, and a lot of people have been asking, how fast can a penguin swim, and how far do they travel out at sea?
Great question. So do we know who was the person who asked that one? Lots of them?
So many. Landon, aged 11, was one of them.
Landon, aged 11, cool. It's quite a common question that we get. So thank you for that one. So hang on, remind me of the questions again. I've forgotten.
How fast can they swim, how far do they travel?
How fast can they swim and how far can they travel? So the fastest we have ever recorded a penguin swimming out to sea was about 12.5 kilometres per hour. Now, that might not sound super quick if you're in really speedy cars when you're on the highway as you make your way home, but that's faster than an Olympic swimmer. So these penguins can outswim people like Michael Phelps, and I don't really know a lot of sports people or sports swimmers, so I'm going to end that right there. Sorry, everyone. Where are you going? Back in the pool. So 12.5 kilometres an hour, that's them really, really sprinting when they're out to sea. That could be when they're trying to evade predators or when they're trying to find food as well. But their cruising speed is about 5.5 to 6 kilometres per hour. They're a lot slower on land, but they're pretty speedy when they're out in the water. Now, the second question we have was how far away penguins can swim. So these penguins can swim about 100 kilometers in a day. Let me say that again. 100 kilometers, 100 kilometers. That's pretty much from Phillip Island to Melbourne. So they are very, very good in the water, these penguins. They're very good at navigating their way out in the ocean. And I believe we have actually had a penguin in this colony being spotted near the Victorian South Australian border, which is hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away. Now, these penguins spend most of their life out in the ocean. They can be out there for a few days or even a few weeks at a time. They are pescatarian. The ocean is their supermarket. It's their playground. So whenever they're out to sea, they are having a great time. They only come on land if they've got things to do, places to be, and if they've got responsibilities back home, because once they come back on land, they are not eating. So they've got to make sure they've got enough food in their belly and a really good reason to be home, which right now is because we're right in the middle of the breeding season. So a lot of these penguins will be returning home to sit on some eggs. Both mum and dad take it in turns in their duties, sitting on the eggs and also bringing food back to their chicks as well. In fact, on Monday, we actually had our first chick of the season fledge and head out into the ocean by itself, which is really exciting. And they do that after about 8 to 10 weeks. So they grow up really, really quickly. And in about 8 to 10 weeks, they are at the size of a fully grown adult. Look at this one just posing for us on the diving board over here. Let's zoom in on you a little bit. So yeah, these penguins can swim many, many hundreds of kilometers out to sea. They are following the food. They're just going to their favorite feeding hotspots, and they spend a lot of time out to sea in their first year of life as well. And I also did mention that penguins, they can swim up to 100 kilometers a day, but usually that's not kind of 100 kilometers in a straight line. That 100 kilometers includes how many times they actually dive for fish and for food throughout the day. So if you were tuned in last night, you might have heard that penguins can dive over 2,000 times in a single day. So that 100 kilometers could be when they're swimming on the surface of the water as well as when they are diving as well. So usually they won't be swimming exactly 100 kilometers in a day. Usually in the breeding season, we find that adults are swimming around about 30 kilometres offshore in search of food, which means they can go out one day and come back the next day. So they're very, very good at finding food nice and close by. And we learnt last night that penguins have a great feeding hotspot at Cape Woolamai and also as well near the Victorian desalination plant. It's a great feeding hotspot for these little penguins as well. Now, guys, just want to let you know we've got about 5 or so minutes left of our live stream tonight. It's gone very, very quickly tonight. So get your questions into Megan on YouTube. And remember that if you are posting your comments and watching on Facebook tonight, that we will be having some penguin rangers going through and answering all your wonderful questions within the next 24 hours or so. So don't be offended if we don't get around to your question this evening. Looks like we might be having a little bit of a traffic jam coming up over here. So yeah, we'll probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions throughout the stream. But remember, we are running this live stream every single night. So tune in night after night and we'll hopefully be able to get your questions answered. Come on, let's focus. It's getting a little bit dark to look out on the beach. Oh no, let's pan into this group that's just making their way across the rocks now. And then we might jump up for some close-ups on our penguin highway. So yes, they, to sum up, many hundreds of kilometres these penguins can swim, but these ones that are coming in right now have probably only been about 30 to 40 kilometres offshore in search of food. Now, I must apologise, the camera looks a little bit jumpy tonight because we actually have some people on the Penguins Plus stand watching the penguins coming in with their very own eyes. So all the footsteps on the stand tonight is probably making the camera a little bit shaky. So that's all it is. I do apologise, everyone. All right, look at them coming across. And again, send all your love to Sally, who is counting all these beautiful little penguins as they make their way across the beach tonight. Okay, look at them go. So it looks like these penguins are having a bit of a party at the moment. When they're out to sea, they're typically foraging all by themselves. And when they come on land, they want to have as many friends home and crossing the beach with them as possible because there's safety in numbers. Now, I think a little bit earlier in the stream, I made a little bit of a strange sound called a huck, which sounds like huck, 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 huck. I thought there was a penguin in the room. It was just Megan. So that's the sound penguins make when they're out in the ocean and they're chatting to each other. They're saying, huck, huck, huck. Is it safe? Is there anyone else out there? Can we cross the beach yet? What do we think? So they want to communicate to all their friends out in the ocean so that they can cross the beach in these beautiful big groups. And it looks like these penguins are having a little bit of a penguin party as they make their way home. One thing penguins don't enjoy in their parties are balloons and their attachments. So I've just got a little bit of sad news that I wanted to talk to you about a little bit tonight, everyone. And here I have 3 popped balloons. I've got a green one, I've got a yellow one, and I've also got a pink one and the string that came across it. Now, I'm sure everyone loves balloons here, and you know what, so do I, but it's really, really important that we keep them inside and we make sure we don't let them go off into the sky, because they don't go up into the sky and disappear forever. Quite often what happens is that they actually pop. And when balloons pop, when there's no helium in there, they slowly start filtering back down into the rivers and into the streams, and they can end up in the ocean. If anyone who's been watching in the past, you'll know that penguins actually like to eat jellyfish. Any idea what a pop balloon might look like floating in the surface of the water to a penguin? You've guessed it, a jellyfish. So it's really, really important that we don't release any helium balloons up into the atmosphere, into the sky, because we don't want them to pop and make their way into a penguin's belly, a turtle's belly, a whale, a dolphin, or any other marine birds and marine life out there. So if I can get you all to do one really, really important and fun thing for me, at your next outdoor party, if you can blow bubbles instead of balloons, you are going to be able to, that's a really fun and easy way to help protect penguins wherever you are in the world. Because a lot of you will know that plastic doesn't break down very well, and when it does, it just gets into smaller and smaller and smaller bits, which might even be small enough to end up in a penguin belly and maybe even regurgitated to a chick as well. So if I can get everyone to please make sure we are not releasing these balloons up into the atmosphere at the moment, because the actual balloons hurt our penguins' tummies, and quite often this string can form entanglements not only on penguins but also on seals and other marine life, which can cause them a lot of pain, and sometimes it can even cause death. So if we blow bubbles and not balloons, it's a really fun way that you can help protect penguins. Remember, if you would also like to help us protect penguins with the amazing conservation work that we do here, you can also donate to the Penguin Foundation with the link below. Again, thank you so much to everyone and your amazing generosity that we've seen over the last couple of weeks in the live stream. We have been absolutely blown away with your donations and the amount of people becoming penguin pals and adopting penguins. So again, thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing and trying to make sure that these penguins are making their way home nice and safe. All right, I reckon we might have one more question before we sign off tonight. So Megan, let's have another question.
Well, we've talked a lot about our penguin count. A lot of people are wondering, what is the purpose of counting the penguins?
What is the purpose of counting these penguins? Is it just for fun? Is it just for us to know because we're curious humans and we want to know how many penguins cross the beach? No, it's actually part of an ongoing research study. So because we've been counting these penguins nearly every single night, I'm going to switch to camera 2. Hold on a tick and we'll be able to watch these guys as they waddle their way down. It's a part of ongoing research that we've seen so helping us monitor the health of the penguin colony every single night. So by doing so, I'm going to jump back to the other camera. Bear with me, everyone. Yep, there's our penguins. By doing it, it can allow us to see trends in the colony. So it can show us when the penguins are having really good years, when they're having really big breeding seasons. It helps us determine when the breeding season is starting, because we'll get a kind of an increase in penguin numbers because they can spend so long out in the ocean. So every night we get different numbers of penguins coming in, but it can help us look to see how well the penguins are doing. And if the numbers are lower, if they're showing some different kind of trends in previous years, that can kind of be a bit of an indication that there might be something going wrong in the colony. There might be a danger maybe on land or out to sea, and that can help our researchers work out, okay, we need to start investigating this. So it's showing us how well our penguins have been doing over the years. And the overwhelming, the data that has shown us is that the penguins are now doing really, really well. And one of the reasons that this is because we now have no people living in the penguin colony. People living in the penguin colony, you might say, it seems a little bit strange, but if you've been to the penguin parade before, you might have been for a drive through the Summerland Peninsula up to the Nobbies, and there actually used to be an old housing estate up there. It used to be 183 houses, there was a motel, there was a museum, there was a general store, and you know what? If there's beautiful views, you'd have penguins waddling up your driveways, but unfortunately having people up there, having people driving on the roads at night, and having houses up in the Summerland Peninsula wasn't very good for our penguins. So in 1985, the state government actually started a compulsory buyback scheme, and it took nearly 30 years, but in 2010 the final house was removed. So out of 183 houses, now no houses remain up in the Summerland Peninsula, right in the heart of the penguin colony, directly to the west of us over here. So it's a real success story, and I wanted to thank Karen Hollis, who is actually a volunteer who works with us here at Phillip Island Nature Parks. She wanted us to talk a little bit about this story and how amazing it was that we were able to effectively stop these penguins in this colony from the brink of extinction because there were people living up in the Summerland Peninsula. So thank you so much for the suggestion of mentioning that cool little story, Karen. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all our volunteers out there who might be watching as well. And hopefully, once restrictions start to ease, we'll be able to have more and more volunteers joining us back here as well. So yeah, thank you so much for that, everyone, all your volunteers and all of our wonderful efforts at home. So everyone who has watched me in this live stream tonight and in previous nights, you know that I could probably talk for hours and hours on this live stream, but unfortunately it is time for us to leave you tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the stream this evening, guys. Remember, we are running this stream every single night, and tomorrow we are going to be having the lovely Megan taking the lead and running you through this Penguin Parade live TV tomorrow night. So I hope you're all excited. I think she's a little bit nervous, but I'm sure you'll give her lots of love as you do. So yeah, tune in tomorrow. Keep those questions coming. Remember to donate to the Penguin Foundation if you would like to help us with our conservation work here. And hopefully we will see you all very, very soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Huck, huck. Goodbye. Huck, huck, huck. Bye, everyone. Bye, bye, bye.